Warning. This video contains moderate jump scares and is not recommended for people that are scared easily. Additionally, if you dislike or find discomfort in being alone in a dark room or have claustrophobia, this is also not recommended. But at the same time, you could enjoy these fears if you choose. The story of La Llorona, retold by Jenny Zane. Have you ever heard of the tale of La Llorona? I would expect most of you to say yes. But what you've always heard was just a woman who drowned her children, therefore she did not belong in heaven or hell, and she ended up wandering at night along the rivers or near the waters in the form of ghost, constantly calling for her children. But what really happened? Grab your parents or siblings and let's listen to the story of La Llorona, with my twist on it, of course. It all started because there was a lady named La Llorona. She was once a kid, a human, just like you all. Then one day, she grew up. She grew up into a young, fine woman. But the only problem is that she was poor. She was extremely poor all through her life. She was poor when she was born. She was so poor during her childhood that she never got the chance to go to school. And she is still poor at the age of 21, that her only income is to wash other people's clothes in the ghastly flowing river in the abandoned forest. Every day, she washes herself in the river, swimming and splashing water all over the place. Gradually, the water of the river became a part of her life that La Llorona loves the most dearly. Then one day, while La Llorona was bathing herself in the muddy river, a well-dressed man came upon her. She welcomed the man to join her, and he agreed gladly. They chased and joked around in the river, stirring up the mud on the bottom of the river, and then finally embraced each other so deep that they ended up doing a lot of inappropriate stuff. Well, anyways, long story short, 2 months later, La Llorona found herself gaining a lot of weight. Her mood swing started to shift violently, and she somehow strangely developed a disease or illness that makes her vomit every morning. When the 3rd month came, La Llorona realized that she is pregnant with the man she barely knew. Back in La Llorona's time, there is no abortion, and all women that intentionally kills their baby would be counted as a witch, and they would be whipped and dragged by their legs on the edge of a cart around their village, and usually there would be a mob of people circling and following the cart to see when would the witch die. The witches, at least that's what they used to call them, would either die of loss of blood, pain, or that their head would be accidentally stomped off by horses or men. You know, one or the other. And of course, La Llorona did not want that. Instead, she kept the babies. 6 months later, La Llorona gave birth to 2 healthy babies. 1 girl, 1 boy. When she looked at them, she was filled with joy and excitement. When La Llorona became strong enough to walk, she packed her stuff and started her journey to find the mysterious young gentleman with both of her kids, Muerte y Gato. She remembered that he had spoke English, So La Llorona walked all the way from Mexico to America to find the man that she had fallen in love with. She walked and walked. Her shoes became old and dirty. Then one day, she found out that the bottom of her shoe had fallen off. Therefore, she continued her journey without her shoes on. Although La Llorona believed that she is madly in love, La Llorona's determination is being wearied out as the day passed. So by the time a year had come around, La Llorona had almost abandoned her journey at least 5 times. And by the time she reached Texas, La Llorona still can't find any hint of that gentleman. So she decided that there is no hope in finding her baby's father. Therefore, she decided that now is the time to think about reality and go home. Another year had passed, and by the time La Llorona reached her cottage, she is so dirty that she looks unhuman. And her children had grown up. They can sing, dance, talk, tell jokes, and best of all, they can swim just as good. No, even better than La Llorona. But that's not quite so important right now. Well, not anymore. When La Llorona opened her weathered, weary door, what La Llorona found in her shabby book shocked her to her core. In her stained, filthy booklet, La Llorona discovered a note stuck between page 13 and 14. The note is from the young gentleman she has searched for 2 years, and it says, "Greetings, young lady that I did not have the pleasure of obtaining your name of. I am Lord Davis Williamson, and I had quite an enjoyment and amusement the other day, for which I am grateful of. Because you had given me such a happiness that I have never had, I had now fetched myself a flashing beautiful wife, Lady Margaret Elizabeth Ochoa. Thus, it was a delight to have you as one of my wedding guests. Best, Lord Williamson." La Llorona was shaking with fury. She suddenly remembered all those troubles that she had gone through for the past 2 years.
2 years wasted,
she cursed under her breath.
2 years wasted, and all I find was a rotten, cowardly traitor who deserves no better than death.
She remembered the longing she felt toward the young man, but now all she has of that man is a briefly written note from Lord Williamson telling her to be his wedding guest. And if you know anything about La Llorona, is that she never did want to be his wedding guest. In fact, that is the last thing she wants. What she really wanted in the deepest of her heart is to be his bride. But now that would be a dream that will never be achieved. Just as La Llorona was putting down her notes, her 2 kids, Muerte and El Gato, came in wet as a fish. They were fighting some imaginary monsters with their wooden sword and guns. La Llorona stared at her children, realizing for the first time that the love in her eyes and her heart are long gone. Instead, now she sees them as a burden, as a shame. Her cold eyes, are flaming with rage, hatred, betrayal, and revenge. Without thinking, she grabbed her children by their collar and dragged them outside of their cottage despite their screechings. La Llorona dragged them all the way to the river, and in a fit of pure rage, she threw her children in the river. After that, La Llorona turned on her heels and walked away satisfied. The next day, La Llorona woke up all by herself. She felt and called for her children in the darkness, but the only reply she got was the deathly silence and the meowing of a black cat. La Llorona panicked. She was not sure what to do, so she ran out of her cottage, screaming words that no one can understand, and fear seized her heart. She wandered around in the woods all day long. Sometimes she would remember what she was trying to find, but sometimes she was unsure of what she's supposed to find, but felt like she must find something. Then, when the bell of her village's church struck 12, La Llorona finally found something. She found 2 dead bodies. The 2 dead bodies of Muerte and El Gato, La Llorona's 2 children. They floated on the surface of the river like 2 sacks of potatoes, and despite the rapid flow of the river, they stayed in the same spot, seeming to remind La Llorona of what she's done. La Llorona frantically swam to her children, hoping to retrieve their bodies and bury them somewhere that would honor their life. But somehow they won't budge. It seemed like their bodies were trapped and frozen in place, unable to move or be moved. La Llorona lost it right then and there. She threw herself under the water, held onto a rock at the bottom of the river until her vision became blurry. And then, slowly but surely, darkness descended. Unlike others, when La Llorona was close to the end of her life, she felt that her body, or rather her soul, had lifted up in the air, and she can somehow see everything happening to her body from an outsider's view. She saw her body drifting away, her children's frozen body floating on the water. Then, unable to define the pole, she drifted up into the sky. La Llorona came upon an old man with a long beard, so long that he might trip on it when he walks. The old man wore a long, white, flashy dress, and he cracked into a smile as soon as La Llorona emerged from the clouds. Shivering, La Llorona asked the old man where she is, and the old man replied that she is at the gate of heaven. La Llorona was indeed surprised, but she kept a straight face and asked the old man if she can enter. The old man told her to wait a second, so La Llorona found a soft cloud and sat down, waiting for the old man to check her records. Well, a second turned out to be several days. By the time the old man is done, La Llorona had grown so impatient that she is literally shaking with rage. But the old man ended up kicking her out. He found out that she had drowned her children but did not bury them. So now she has to go to hell. Without a choice, La Llorona then went to hell. She told herself that at least she will have a place to belong, and hell can't be possibly that bad. So when Hell's Devil Guard rejected her, La Llorona was not sure if she should be cheering or crying. Since La Llorona does not belong in heaven or hell, she ended up wandering around in this world in her ghost form. And so, following both the old man and devil's instruction, La Llorona finally decided that she would return to Earth, hoping to bury her children and therefore go to heaven or hell. But, and in here there is a big but when La Llorona returned, she found that her children's body are gone, and all that were left was a strand of flaming red hair. She traced her step back to her cottage, then she set out the next day, hoping to find her children. But she still can't find them. Now here's a piece of information about the story. La Llorona was the strongest human in her village. She remembered that she couldn't move her children. No, not even an inch. And therefore no one in the entire village could possibly move them. I mean, here them as her children to somewhere else. But regardlessly, they had disappeared. Not wanting to give up, La Llorona searched along the riverbank. And hours later, she came upon the strand of red hair once again. But this time, a red-headed girl in a black dress appeared miraculously beside the hair. And she whispered in a slurred, painful voice as if she's the one who's dying. I've been watching you, and I've come to this conclusion that you have absolutely no right on your children. Therefore, I've taken them, and they are forever gone with the water. La Llorona fixed her gaze on the red-headed girl. She realized that the girl's eyes had an empty look, as if her souls had been taken away, and that she is staring into a world that no one else can see. But La Llorona was quickly distracted. Thinking back to what the girl said, La Llorona thought, "The water!" La Llorona murmured, turning around to look into the river. "That's it! The water!" But when she turned around to ask for the girl's name, she found herself staring at the strand of flaming red hair once again. And having nothing else to do, days after day, La Llorona drifted along the river, near the water, sometimes running, sometimes walking in her snow-white gown, calling and crying her children's name again and again, hoping to find her children, Muerte y Ahogado, whom she believed that she had killed. Years and centuries later, La Llorona still did not find her children's dead body. So she told herself that if she encounters any kid, any children in the world in the future, she will catch them, trap them, peel off their skins, kill them, chop them off, drown them, and cut off their hairs, claim them as her own, and then bury them to honor her children's life. So at night, especially when it's super dark, if you can see her figure and hear her crying and calling again and again, Muerte y Ahogado, Muerte y Ahogado, run! I mean, run as fast as you can. And if you can run fast enough, you just might be lucky to escape La Llorona's grasp. And this, my friend, is the tale of the weeping woman, of the wailer of La Llorona. Normally, the story would end here. But has anyone realized that by throwing her children in the river, La Llorona couldn't possibly kill or drown her children, for their children are, as the story goes, as good or even better at swimming than La Llorona. So what, or who, really killed La Llorona's children, and why did La Llorona name her children Muerte and Ahogado?